In this video, we're talking about how to successfully eat in restaurants and when attending events so that you actually get to enjoy being out with others without sacrificing your results. To be very clear, it takes skill to do this, which means that it's something that you need to practice repeatedly in a variety of conditions, enough times to feel confident in any environment. Now, you may not realize this, but essentially, when you eat in restaurants or attend events, it's testing your skill of being able to adapt to lower levels of certainty. Because the thing is, your environment is highly controlled when you're at home because everything is so predictable. At home, it's easy for you to identify exactly how much you're eating. It's super quick to determine which simple meal is appropriate for the moment. You can take your time to be able to look up the macros and coordinate everything. And you can stop any foods that you don't want to eat from even entering your house. But your environment becomes much less predictable when you're going out to eat in restaurants or attending events because you're leaving that highly controlled environment where everything is certain and you're putting yourself more and more into other people's hands. You're trusting whatever nutrition facts information that they tell you about the food. You're eating what is put in front of you. You're relying on someone else to have your best interest at heart. And when there are unplanned changes, things get even less predictable. Because out there in the world, you're interacting with so many other people that it's not possible for you to be 100% in control. People's choices and behavior can bring moments when your only option is to adapt. Like, for example, they overbooked the restaurant and now your reservation is pushed back and you're starving and your energy levels start tanking and you're struggling to just keep it together. Or you planned on ordering a certain dish, but they ran out of it, so you can't actually have that now. Or maybe even your server made a mistake and put in the wrong order. Now, all of those situations force you to now make an unplanned decision on the fly. And if you're not in charge of yourself, you might end up in a bad mood that takes away from the experience and the whole reason that brought you out in the first place. So if we go back to the driving metaphor, these three circumstances are just like the difference between merging onto the freeway and merging on the freeway in the rain, and then merging onto the freeway in the rain with traffic at night. What you know is that the further towards unpredictability you go, the more valuable it is to have the skills and experience so that you can actually deal with that unpredictability and stay on track. Without the right skills and experience as a foundation, you get frustrated, you get off track, and you don't win. And that skill building approach is also necessary for your nourishment navigation. Starting at home and gradually improving your skills as you change environments, like at restaurants or events, and then finally dealing with the trickiest of all, unplanned changes. There's a difficulty level that's stacking up here, which is important for you to notice and give yourself grace with. It's essential for you to start with the easier, more predictable conditions at home so that you can really build up your ability with everything that we've discussed so far in nourishment navigation. Because that's how you actually create the skill set that allows you to successfully adapt in unpredictable environments and situations where you actually have less and less control. So please grab your playbook, turn to page 77, where you'll find this, and write the labels under the certainty spectrum at the top of the page. To the left, you'll see a more solid line representing what's predictable, and that's where you're gonna write at home. And then fading into the middle, you'll write planned restaurants and events. And then where it's starting to disappear into the unknown, you'll write unplanned changes, where it's the most unpredictable. Press pause now and give yourself the time that you need to copy it down. When you're practicing skill number 8, it is so necessary to be patient with yourself and not expect instant perfection. But most people aren't patient with the process of learning this. They think that they should be able to just jump into highly unpredictable situations and do everything right. Except they don't really practice, so they don't develop any actual skills. Then, because they don't get the results that they wanted, they get discouraged and frustrated. And instead of building their skill level with practice in more predictable circumstances, they repeat this flawed cycle and eventually make a super harsh decision. So that's the point where they either stop considering their nutrition or they stop having a life. They stop counting calories altogether or they stop seeing their friends and family. They stop paying attention to their body or they stop enjoying themselves. The problem is that when people make those choices, they never get what they want. They never get the body or energy levels that they want, or they never get the social life and fun that they want. And at the root of it, the real problem is that they don't have the skills to operate in unpredictable environments. We don't want you to be forced to make a choice between those two kind of futures. We know that you're here to be thrilled with your body and your energy levels. and you deserve having a vibrant life surrounded by people that you love. And the secret to having both is simply to practice and develop the skill and experience that makes it possible for you to navigate increasingly high levels of unpredictability. And you do that with what we call reset actions. These reset actions focus your attention on what is still yours to control. So when you remember to use these reset actions, they move you back towards predictability on the certainty spectrum, even if you're still in an unpredictable environment. It's one thing for you to write down the options for reset actions on page 77, and in fact, writing them will help kickstart the learning process. But it's another thing to give yourself time and opportunities to practice and remember to actually use them when you need them. You'll progress and develop your skills with reset actions faster if you ask yourself certain questions after each experience that you have. And we'll go through those questions at the end of this lesson. But before we talk to you about how to reflect on your experiences, let's talk about the 4 main situation adjustments that you need to be conscious of so that you know when to use the options for reset actions. Pause the video as much as you need to be able to take notes here. Situation adjustment number 1, other people and judgment, real or perceived. One of the categories that changes our experience with food is the people around us while we're eating. They might say things about what we're eating or how much we're eating, or we might interpret the things that they say in a particular way about us, whether or not they intended it. And as a result, we feel different than we might feel when we're simply eating at home. We can feel that we're being watched by others, that we're being judged or noticed. And that can cause us to feel nervous or self-conscious. And so then we might do different things than we would actually do at home if we were alone. You can't choose to give into this pressure because it's what causes your light to dim, your world to shrink, and your opportunities to vanish. So how do you deal with it? One of the reset actions that we would suggest is that you use the tool in phase 1 of this training, because that 3-part daily routine sets you up for success. It reconnects you to yourself, and it anchors you back into your value so that you're in your strongest position to deal with anyone and anything. Activating your champion is the single easiest way to navigate challenges with power, no matter what or who they are. Situation adjustment number 2, unknown ingredients and amounts. Another category that changes our experience with food is what the ingredients actually are and how much of them we're eating. I mean, it's true. If you're out and a dish is put in front of you, you don't know exactly what's in it or exactly how much is okay to eat and still perfectly hit your calorie percent difference just like you would at home. And in that moment, you have 3 routes in front of you. Route number 1 is the route of restriction and limitation. So this is when you actually push away the dish and say, I can't have any of that. Route number 2 is the route of temptation and overeating. So this is when you dig in and you say, I can't stop myself. And let's be clear, there are consequences that come with taking both of those extreme routes, and neither of them lead you to where you really want to go. Fortunately, there's route number 3, which is the route of personal responsibility. And when you go this way, this is when you use a reset action. And one of them is to eat in moderation. So this is when you say, I can enjoy a few bites. Now, when you do this, you're also practicing the very important sub-skill of savoring. When you savor, you slow down. You take your time with it. You really feel the food in your mouth and enjoy it. You notice the textures and flavors. You pause and you take a breath and you actually talk about it. You enjoy that opportunity that you actually have with the food, because you know that you're practicing the skill of eating in moderation and you won't be having an unlimited amount, so this moment matters. By choosing the middle route, another reset action that's happening here is that you're choosing to trust. When you eat someone else's food, there's a high level of trust that you're placing in other people. You're trusting who came up with the menu. You're trusting the person who served you the food. You're trusting the people who prepared it. And most of all, you're trusting your own body. You're trusting your gut. You're trusting your cells. You're trusting your mind. You're trusting that your entire system is balanced, strong, and healthy enough to process a few bites of any food without sacrificing everything that you're showing up for. The great thing is that when your trust in yourself is so strong, it is possible for you to put yourself in these kind of increasingly unpredictable situations without jeopardizing yourself. And the reason is because you have the skills and experience to navigate the situation, regardless of what happens, even if it's simply trusting that everything will be okay. Situation adjustment number 3, temptation and mindless consumption. The third category that changes our experience with food is the temptation that exists around us and the possibility of mindlessly consuming without realizing what we're taking in. Especially if you're surrounded by lots of options, like a buffet or a potluck or a restaurant, or an event where someone is generously putting a delicious dish right in front of you. Temptation and mindless consumption can also happen when you're involved in conversations and laughter and stories. So, understandably, it can be hard to multitask and notice what's actually going into your mouth. You're focused on the experience because, after all, to enjoy is human, to connect is human. It's what makes us feel good. So, in our opinion, it's not an option to just give those things up. I mean, what kind of life is a life without conversation, laughter, and connection? But at the same time, it's necessary to stay mindful and eat in moderation because you want to wake up after the event and feel like a winner. So here are some options for reset actions that you have. You can eat before you arrive. This puts you in full control of making sure that you get a solid foundation of whatever macronutrients will set you up for success. For example, we recently went to a dinner with friends. We were trying a new restaurant with a seasonal menu. We checked the menu and we realized we probably wouldn't have much access to protein. So we ate a good portion of chicken before we went. That set us up to be able to enjoy sharing the very creative pizzas and appetizers that were full of carbs and fats without feeling guilty or frustration. Another option for a reset action is to pause and notice if you had enough. Just quietly take a moment to yourself and check in with your body. How full does your stomach feel? Where is your hunger level at right now? Remember, you can pause and check in with your body when you're in a group. Their conversation can carry on without you for that brief moment. They'll be fine while you identify your answer. You can also pause and check in with your body when you're just one-on-one with another person. You can say it out loud to them or just to yourself. I'm noticing that I'm starting to feel full. Do you want more? Because if not, I'm going to ask for a box. And while we're on the topic of asking for a box, if you're in a place where you know that portions will tempt you to overeat, you also have the option to ask for half of your meal to be boxed up right when you order. Just say, can you put half in a box to go? This way, half of it is already out of sight, off your plate, and ready for you to enjoy later. Another favorite reset option of mine is to simply leave food on the plate. After all, why should you give your body more than it can deal with simply because the food might go bad later? How does it benefit your long-term health to be able to clean the plate when you don't even have use for that much nourishment? The truth is that overeating can cause more problems than it solves. And so the idea that it'll go bad or it's wasteful is pretty flimsy logic. Yep, it might go bad. It might get wasted. And that's a small price to pay for you to be fueled for peak performance and health. And that allows you to continue bringing your best to everyone and everything around you. And that transitions us right into situation adjustment number 4, unclear intentions. The fourth category that changes our experience with food is unclear intentions. There can be cultural and social pressure to eat a lot, especially during certain holidays or events when a lot of people start making excuses and repeating lines about how hard it is for them to control themselves. You may be tested and given the opportunity to make your own choices separate from others. Like, for example, what is really the point of going out to a restaurant, attending an event, or celebrating a holiday with a meal? Are you just there to stuff yourself? Is the goal to feel heavy and slow for the rest of the day, lethargic and struggling? Or is the goal to feel energized by the opportunity to dress up, to be in a new environment with new ambiance, to notice and appreciate the lighting, the dishes, the combinations of textures and food, to catch up with friends and family, or even to make new friends, to celebrate the moment simply for the moment that it is, without tying the moment's value or success to how much you ate or what you ate. Eating in restaurants and attending events is not just about the food. The food enhances your experience, you see? It's about the whole thing, the big picture. So when you're clear about your intention, when you know why you're there, what really matters to you, when you are taking the time to ask yourself, what's my intention going into this space or event? Then you set yourself up for success because you're drawing a line in the sand. You're not just doing what everyone else is doing. You're leading yourself. You're directing your life so that you get what you want. And when you take all of these situation adjustments together, you can see that there's a lot to manage when you're actually eating away from home. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that, like any other skill, you need to practice it deliberately and consistently. Start with the more predictable environments first. Build your confidence there. Then gradually work your way into increasingly unpredictable environments. Give yourself permission to learn and adjust as you go. Remember, keep going until you get it right. Then keep on going until you can't get it wrong. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And in my world, progress is perfection. Every time that you practice these skills in real world situations, you're building your capacity to navigate any food environment with confidence and grace. On page 77 of your playbook, we've included some reflection prompts to help you process these experiences. The unpredictability was, I was proud of myself when and what I'd like to do better next time is. These prompts allow you to acknowledge opportunities to practice. And instead of getting caught in the cycle that we talked about before, you help yourself grow. The key to mastering restaurant and event eating isn't about having iron willpower or giving up your social life. It's about developing specific skills through practice and reflection. Use what we've shared today as your guide. Start where you are, practice consistently, and watch your confidence grow with each experience. Remember, you're not just building habits, you're building a lifestyle that lets you thrive in any situation. One that allows you to enjoy food, friends, and life while staying true to your health goals. Take action on what you've learned today. Practice these skills in progressively challenging situations. Reflect on your experiences. And most importantly, keep showing up for yourself. Your future self will thank you for the skills that you're developing right now.